But the thing is that you're never really going to be happy in your life. You're never going to feel like you're actually fulfilling your purpose unless you start listening to that voice. Remember, you already know what the answer is. There's already this thing that's telling you this is what you need to do. And the thing is, you have to let go of the idea that there's like this one thing that's this be all end all. And every single thing that you need in your life is going to be in this one purpose. Hi there, this is Sarah Kuhn. If you are an INFJ or in a relationship with an INFJ or related to an INFJ in any way, and you want to figure out how they operate, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better, this is the show for you. It's called The Quiet Ones. This is a show that deconstructs INFJs, what they are, how they think, how they feel, how they operate, and how they relate to people with other personality types. Whether you have just found out that you're an INFJ or have known for a number of years, there is something for everyone. You will learn more about your personality type so that you understand who you are and understand how you operate in the workplace, in relationships, in your family, and with friends. I want you to walk away from every episode feeling like you have a place of belonging, feeling like you are no longer alone, feeling like you have a place to be heard and seen and understood as you really are. This is a place to connect with other INFJs, to learn and grow and really thrive. I want to give you inspiration and real life strategies that are going to help you figure out how to live your best life every single day. Though INFJs are very rare, you are not alone in this world. You are not the only one who thinks the way that you do and feels the way that you do. Hear from real INFJs just like you. The Quiet Ones podcast is presented by Nanocraft CBD. Nanocraft was built on a simple mission: create exceptional CBD products that contribute to overall health. CBD is a natural, organic, and holistic option for a wide range of health concerns, including better sleep, reduced anxiety, and improved overall health. Recent studies have shown that CBD can alleviate feelings of anxiety and elevate your mood thanks to its ability to increase levels of the neurotransmitter of serotonin. Low levels of serotonin have been linked to depression. Traditional medications that are prescribed to patients with depression are designed to elevate levels of serotonin in order to give your mood a boost. And CBD oil has the same effect without the side effects of prescription antidepressants. I was diagnosed with major depression in 2014. I spent more than a year trying to find an antidepressant prescription medication that would work for me, with no success. I couldn't find one that I could tolerate because of the side effects. Along with depression, I have a general anxiety disorder, which leaves me feeling stressed, anxious, nervous, and scared a lot of the times. So a friend of mine suggested that I try CBD oil instead of prescription medication. I was a bit hesitant because I wasn't sure if it was drugs or not, or if it was even legal in the United States. So I did some research and found that CBD is derived from hemp or a marijuana plant, but it doesn't contain THC, which is the compound that gets a user high. So basically, it's really not drugs. I was also surprised to find that CBD is legal in almost all of the United States. So I got a bottle of the broad spectrum CBD oil from Nanocraft, and I took it every single day. I noticed results within 2 days. My anxiety was substantially lower. My mood shifted out of feeling numb and depressed to feeling more hopeful and happy. If you have depression, anxiety, or are just feeling down, because let's be honest, who hasn't felt off with everything that's going on in the past couple of years? You need to give Nanocraft CBD a try. Get 10% off your order when you order through the link at infjwoman.com/CBD. That's infjwoman.com/CBD. There's a link in the show notes. Hi there, I'm Sarah Kuhn. Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Ones. So the last few weeks for me have been very challenging. I have been pulling myself out of burnout. And thankfully this time it only lasted for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. But the worst part of it was only a week. That sounds like a long time, but that's actually a huge breakthrough for me, because the last time that I went through something like this, it was like 6 months. So to narrow that down to a week is a huge win for me. I used a couple of strategies. I used a few strategies that I've pulled together through trial and error, through listening to my friends, through consulting experts, and it's brought me such a huge win that I want to share those. It's brought me such a huge win to narrow that time down to just a week. Has been such a big thing. I want to share these resources with you. So just in case you're struggling with burnout right now, if you're not feeling well, or you just don't feel like yourself, maybe you want to prevent burnout or be prepared for the next time that it happens. I have a free guide that I put together that's called The Fastest Way Out of Burnout. And you can get it. It's absolutely free. You just go to infjwoman.com/burnout and you can download it for free right now. Okay, so today on the show, we're talking about why most INFJs never find their purpose in life. Finding your purpose is like a rite of passage for INFJs. We feel like we have this higher calling, like there's some big thing that we're supposed to do in the world. We're not satisfied with a normal 9 to 5, the white picket fence, the 2.3 kids, whatever it is nowadays. We need some bigger purpose. We need to be able to help people, or some bigger reason that we're here on the earth. And when we're young, it's really, really difficult because we know that we have a bigger purpose. We just don't know what it is. I struggled for years through all of high school and all of college, and I spent 10 years in college. I have almost 3 college degrees. And a lot of the reason for that was because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I couldn't decide. And so I thought, well, I really like college. Maybe I'll just stay in college for a while. But then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I have almost $100,000 in college loans that I have no idea how I'm going to pay back. So obviously I have to do something. So what is the thing? What am I going to do? And after I got out of college, I had a job for a while that I really liked. And then I got laid off. And then it was like, okay, start over again. So how many times am I going to have to start over before I actually find the thing? And I really skipped a lot of my career path in my short little intro there, because I've had so many jobs. I can't even name them all. I actually have a scrapbook that I put together of all of my jobs because I love scrapbooks. I love keeping things from the past and looking back on them. And I'm kind of embarrassed that it's a pretty thick book because I have all of the W-2s from each one of the jobs. And then I kept if I had an ID badge, or I started taking pictures of my desk and office space at each one of the jobs. And, there's a lot of jobs in there. There's a lot of years in my life that I had 2 jobs just to pay the bills. But more than that, it was I don't know what I want to do. And I would get into a job where I'm like, okay, I think that this is the right thing. And maybe I was making enough money, maybe even more money than what I'd made in the past, but it still didn't feel right. There was still something that felt like it was missing. And for me, I worked in retail for a long time. I worked in food service for a little while. I worked in different types of offices, from a civil engineering firm to a marketing company. I've worked for a nonprofit. I've worked for a couple of different nonprofits, actually. I thought maybe that was what was missing. Maybe if I could just work for a nonprofit, well, they have a higher purpose, right? It's kind of built in there. And you just know that you're helping people every single day when you go to work, even if the work that you do doesn't directly help people, because I was a communications manager, which is really like marketing. So I wasn't actually working with the kids that the nonprofit helped, but I knew that the work that I was doing was in some way helping those children. But that ended up being the worst job that I've ever had. So it was kind of like back to square one. And there have been so many times that have been back to square one for me. And I realized after I started my blog and my Instagram account, my podcast, I realized there are a lot of people who feel the same way. They end up doing the same thing. As INFJs, we look for a higher purpose, but we're also very practical. And we know that careers in insurance or accounting or website development, they'll pay the bills. And we're really good at figuring out answers to problems. And if the problem is, I have to pay my rent and I have to pay my car payment, well, how am I going to do that in the meantime? While I'm looking for my higher purpose, I still have to pay the bills, right? But a lot of the times we forget about or just don't have enough time. It gets put on the back burner, this higher purpose that we're looking for. And we focus on what was the backup plan, right? We focus on the job that we hate because it pays the bills. And we focus on working until Friday, looking forward to the weekend, because the weekend is my happy place where I can do whatever I want. And if I can just get through the week, if I can just get through today, if I can just make it to Friday, if I can just make it to the holiday vacation, if I can just make it until next year, everything will get better. But then it never does. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, right? I've lived that for so many years, and it makes such a huge difference when you can actually focus on your purpose and move that to the front burner and say, okay, I know this is the thing that I want to do, and this is how I'm going to help. So there are 4 main reasons why a lot of INFJs never find their purpose in life. The first reason is that we overthink everything to death. You've probably heard of the NI-T loop. So that is, Ni is introverted intuition and T is introverted thinking. So what happens is, those are 2 of our functions, right? So what happens is our introverted intuition is telling us, hey, you need to do something. You have this higher purpose in life. There's this thing that you're supposed to be doing, right? And your introverted intuition tells you all of these ideas, has this great desire to do something, right? But then your introverted thinking kicks in, and that's the reasonable, rational side of your head. And it says, hold please, you have bills to pay. You have to pay the rent, you have to pay for your car, you have insurance and groceries and gas and cable and internet and all of these things that you have to pay for. You can't just go gallivanting off on some epic adventure. That doesn't work. So then you go back to your intuition, and your intuition is like, no, but there's this big thing and it could be so awful, or it could be so awesome, and all you really need to do is just give in to this higher calling that you have. Maybe you can help people in an orphanage in Africa. Maybe you could be one of those people who writes a blog and lives in Bali. Maybe you could do like an eat, pray, love type of thing, you know, where you just find out who you are as a person and really come into your own. And then, you know, your thinking comes back and it's like, hello, that's not going to work. How are you going to afford that? You don't have any money. What about all of your responsibilities? You can't just leave your job. What about your friends? Right? And it turns into like this battle of overthinking. And you get stuck there and you don't know how to get out of that. That's part of overthinking, which a lot of people, a lot of INFJs deal with all of the time. Not just for your purpose, but for a lot of other things. Another part of overthinking is perfectionism. It's planning every single thing to death. Maybe you actually listen to your intuition and you say, okay, I want to be one of those people who starts this epic blog about a self-discovery journey And I'm going to do the eat, pray, love thing. All right. I'm going to spend 3 months in one place and 3 months in another place and 3 months in another place. But here's the thing. I have to have all the things figured out before I can do that. I can't just like jump in. And so you get this plan together and you start planning and planning and planning and planning. And you think that if it's perfect, you can just plan it. You're not going to take action until it's perfect, right? So you just keep planning and keep planning and keep planning. And you just keep thinking about it and keep planning and keep thinking and keep planning. And all that happens is you just keep thinking about it. It becomes one of those things that you're going to do and you never do it. A lot of this is we think that we can plan our way out of failure. We know that there's a huge opportunity for failure every time you put yourself out there, especially if it involves some kind of public thing like, hey, I'm going to quit my job, or hey, I'm going to move across the country. I've done that a few times, and it's rough telling your family and your friends. The first time that I moved across the country, I moved from close to where I had grown up. I grew up in Kansas and we were living in Missouri at the time. And I moved, which is in the central part of the United States. And I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is on the East Coast. And it was, I think I spent 19 hours driving in the car, and it was like over 1,000 miles. And I was terrified. But even before I actually got in the car, I wanted to go. I had wanted to go for 10 years. And I thought, well, if I could just plan it enough, then I won't make any mistakes. I was afraid because I was young enough and bold enough that I had told all of my friends and family and anybody that would listen to me, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm moving to Charlotte. And it got to the point where they were like, oh yeah, you're definitely going to move. Right. I'll believe that when I see it. But as the time grew closer for me to go, I got really scared because it's like, what if I fail? What if I don't have enough money? What if I can't find the job that I want? What if I have to come home? And I think more, especially for me, it's not really the failure that I'm scared of the most. What I'm scared of is the embarrassment that comes with the failure. It doesn't really bother me per se that I fail. What bothers me is that other people see me fail. It bothers me because I don't want people to know that I'm a failure. Now, if somebody came to me and said, okay, I have this grand idea and I'm going to do this, what do you think? I would be like, yes, you should definitely go for it. Do it, try it, see what happens. And if they said, well, what happens if I fail? I would say, it doesn't matter if you fail. That's part of life. You just need to keep going, keep trying until you figure it out. Would I think less of them if they failed? No, I would be excited that they actually tried. I would be sitting there encouraging them to keep trying, keep going some more. But when it comes to me, I feel like people view me in a different way. And I don't know if that's just perfectionism. I don't know if that's just the way that my mind works, or if everybody feels that way. We're just worried so much of the embarrassment, that the thought of potential embarrassment holds us back. So that's the first reason why most INFJs never find their purpose in life. We overthink every single thing to death. The second reason is that we let fear hold us back. When I was talking about embarrassment, a lot of that is fear, right? It's fear of embarrassment. We might have a fear of being seen, a fear of putting ourselves out in the world, a fear of opening ourselves up to anything, to being ridiculed, of course, that's one of the biggest fears, being embarrassed, being ridiculed, being bullied, having people say negative things to us. But we could also be afraid of having people say positive things to us. We're so afraid of anything that they'll say to us. When I first started my blog, I had this big fear of not being enough. I thought, like, who am I to write a blog? What do I know? I don't really know that much. Who am I? Like, I'm not any type of authority. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in college, but I didn't study any of the things that I write about in my blog. I mean, I took like a basic psychology class, the one that they make everybody take, and it didn't really even talk about personality types. So who am I, right? What if somebody looks at me and says, you are a fraud? That was my biggest fear. That somebody would say, you are a fraud, you have no idea what you're talking about. Who are you to do this? And for almost 3 years, nobody really said that. And I was shocked and surprised. Every time I would get a notification that there was a comment on my blog, I would get anxious. And I would look at it really quickly because I thought, okay, if it's negative, I'm just going to delete it. But there weren't really any negative comments. And my Instagram was the same way. People would send me these glowing, amazing comments, amazing direct messages that say things like, you have completely changed my life. I really appreciate your account. I appreciate all the posts that you make. I appreciate the space that you're holding for INFJs. And I was always surprised. I thought, where's all the negativity? Like, I thought it was going to be negative. And thankfully, it took almost 3 years for somebody to actually say that, to say something negative. And it did happen. It happened just a few months ago. I found that there are accounts on Instagram, whole accounts, that are dedicated towards calling me a fraud and saying that I'm a terrible person and saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. And when I first saw them, I was like, kind of like blown away, like, wow, you would have, like, who has the time to put together a whole account on Instagram simply dedicated to hating me? Like, who am I? I'm not even some kind of like celebrity or anything. One of a couple of different people, like business coaches that I've talked to, some people have been on my podcast, they've called me an influencer on Instagram. And I'm like, I don't know if that fits. Maybe that fits. I don't feel like that. I just feel like a person who's trying to help other people. So to know that there are people out there who are just dedicated to throwing hate in my direction, it's kind of sad, really. But at the same time, it's helped me a lot, because my greatest fear was somebody saying, you're a fraud, you don't know what you're talking about. And here there are several people. There was another account that had a post that had like 700 likes on it. It was like 12 reasons why INFJ Woman is like the worst website ever. And, like 700 people like that. And like I said, my greatest fear was somebody saying, you're a fraud and you don't know what you're talking about and you're so awful. I didn't think I would make it through that. But here it happened. And I'm still standing and I'm still here. And yeah, it was awful, but it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Like, I made it through that. It's not fun to deal with that. It's not fun to process those emotions. It's not fun to see the posts and to know that it's there. But I'm grateful for it, because it made me face my greatest fear and say, you know what? It's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as what I thought it was. I'm actually going to be okay. So if my greatest fear has come true and it's not that bad, then why am I letting all of these other fears hold me back? Is it really that bad to be seen? That was also a big fear of mine too. before I started, and a lot of people tell me, they're like, I don't know how you can be an INFJ because you spend so much of your time doing videos and you do a podcast and you do live videos on Instagram and Facebook, you do workshops that are on video, and I could never do that. I thought the same thing when I first started. I didn't want to be on video. I didn't want to share pictures of myself. I still don't like sharing pictures of myself. You'll probably notice if you look at my website and my Instagram account, my podcast, there's like 3 pictures that I sort of like of myself. And those are the only ones that I use right now. 2020 was very, very rough on me. I was sick for a large part of the year. I am embarrassed to say that I gained about 50 pounds and it has not come off like the doctor said that it would. So the absolute last thing that I want to do is be on video. I don't want to share pictures of myself. I don't even want to take pictures of myself right now. But I know that video does so much better on Instagram and YouTube. Obviously, it has to be video on YouTube. I know that because I've worked in marketing for more than 10 years. And that's part of my motivation. I'm not going to lie. I also know that when you see somebody on video, you connect with them a lot better than if it's just over audio. There was somebody who's really special who helped me to understand this. Really 2 different things. When I first started out coaching people, all of my coaching clients were just over the phone. I didn't want to be on video. I had no desire to ever be on video. But one of the clients that I had was deaf. And she said it would help me out a lot if we could speak on video because I can read your lips. So that way I don't have to have a translator. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course I will do that. If that helps you, absolutely, I'm here for it. Any way that I can help you, I'll do that. I realized though that there was more to video than just her being able to see my face when I talked. It helped me a lot to see her face because I could see her reactions. I could see how she was processing things. And we know that as INFJs, we take in so much information that is not what people say. Because of our intuition and our extroverted feeling, we need to look at people to see all of the information. If you're just listening to somebody on the phone or through audio, you miss so much information. So I know that video is incredibly helpful. The other thing was when I started my podcast, the first 17 or 18 episodes are just audio only. And when I was interviewing people, it was difficult for me because a lot of the people that I interviewed, I didn't know them. And the first time that I talked to them, we're recording this interview and I'm supposed to ask them questions. And I felt awkward and weird and I didn't really know what I was doing. But then after I had that experience with my client who said, you know, can we talk on video? I thought maybe I could interview these people on video and that way I could see them. And that would help me to be able to connect with them and get to know them better. And I was kind of surprised what a difference it made. I was also surprised that nobody had a problem with being on video. Even though a lot of the people that I interviewed are INFJ or INFP, some of them were a bit hesitant at first. But once we got into the conversation, then it felt like we were just sitting in the same room. And a lot of us connected and became friends because, you know, we had so much in common and it was such a great connection. And I feel like the interviews that I did on video were 1,000 times better than the ones that I did that were just over audio. So a lot of times we let these fears hold us back. We have this fear of, you know, I don't want to be seen. But we really haven't even put ourselves out there enough to know what it feels like to be seen. We're just scared of what might happen. We're scared of what could happen. We're scared of what's happened to other people. And that fear, that's the second reason why most INFJs never find their purpose in life. All right, I love this talk, but let's take a short break for a minute. I got a direct message the other day, one that was very familiar to me because I get it from a lot of people. But this particular one says, I love your content and I wish that there was more of it. I'm so inspired by you and I love how relatable you are. How do I get more? This is from Susan, who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, Susan, I have some good news for you. I'm starting an insiders group for you and for anyone listening who wants more content. It's called the INFJ Woman Insiders. With this group, you'll learn more about your INFJ personality and step into your highest and best self. You'll get at least 2 videos every single week from me, full of inspiration, guidance, and support. You'll also get 2 live videos a month where I show up to answer your questions and give you support and coaching. I'm also including exclusive access to behind the scenes of what's going on in my business and my life each and every week. If you want me there with you like a cheerleader and a coach, you'll want to become an insider. The INFJ Woman Insiders group is only $9.99 per month, and it's month to month, so you can cancel anytime. I'm here to support you in rising to your highest and best self. Are you ready? Let's go! Go to infjwoman.com/insider to sign up today. And if you sign up by the end of this week, I'm going to include access to my workshop called How to Go From Overthinking to Doing, absolutely free. Go to infjwoman.com/insider to sign up now. So reason number 3, this is a big reason. So if you're just sort of listening, come back to me. This one is important. Reason number 3, why most INFJs never find their purpose, is that we don't take action. We get stuck in the overthinking, which is reason number 1. We get stuck in planning mode. We stay in planning mode because we have that perfectionism, right? So we feel like if we can plan something enough, if I can plan it perfectly, every single aspect of it, then I won't make a mistake. I won't fail. Another reason that we don't take action is that we're paralyzed by fear. All of those fears from reason number 2, we let those hold us back. We focus on the fear rather than on the possibilities of what could happen. And we get stuck there. Another reason that we don't take action is that we're unsure of what to do. We have this idea that goes around and around and around in our heads of, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what the right career is for me. I don't know. I had a massive problem with this so many times. When I was in college, I started at a community college because it was way cheaper. And I started taking classes when I was a junior in high school because I was homeschooled then. And so the classes counted for high school and for college. So I had like a year of college done by the time I graduated from high school. And I had sort of planned on majoring in engineering. But then it was like, I don't know if I want to major in engineering. And so by the time I'm ready to start my second semester, or my third semester, I guess, because I took classes over the summer as well. So by the time I had to register for my classes for my first full year of college, I remember sitting in the counselor's office, the school counselor's office, and she's like, okay, what classes do you want? And I'm like, well, I don't really know. And she's like, oh, I see you haven't declared a major yet. And I'm like, no, I don't really know. And she goes, well, you're going to have to declare a major so that you can start taking classes for that specific major, because otherwise you're going to end up with a bunch of classes that you don't need. And you're going to have to pay for and take classes that you don't need. which I did end up paying for and taking classes that I didn't need. And then what happened was I finally had to make a decision, because she's like, you just have to make a decision. I think I picked business management or business marketing, I forget. But what happened was later on, I decided to go back to engineering. And I have 2 college degrees. So the first one, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And for that, I think I needed microengineering or microeconomics. And so that college that I went to for that degree, that's what they required for that degree. So then I went to a different college and I decided to study engineering again. And they were like, no, you need macroeconomics. And I'm like, I already took microeconomics. And they're like, it doesn't matter. You have to take macroeconomics. I'm like, economics isn't even like, that shouldn't even be a class that's required for engineering. They're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You can scream and yell all you want, but you still have to take this class. You still have to pay for it. And I'm like, this is insane. I ended up taking probably at least 2 years full of classes that I didn't need. But a lot of it just came from the indecision of like, I don't know what to do. And at the time, I knew that I was punishing myself basically for not knowing what to do. And I kind of was bitter about this whole idea of, I'm just taking the long way around, right? I'm going to figure out what I want to do by checking off everything that I don't want to do. And that seemed like a horrible thing to me. That was like the end of the world. I know I don't want to study economics because I spent 2 semesters studying economics and I didn't like either one of the things. I know I don't want to study statistics because I took a statistics class and I hated it. And then it came to like having a job, and it's like, I know I don't want to work in retail because I did that for like 6 years and I hated it. I know I don't want to be a server at a restaurant because it's really difficult work and you don't always make a lot of money. So it's like, okay, I can go through all of these things of what I don't want to do. And in the moment, like I said, I was just so unsure of what to do that I'm like, okay, I guess I just have to do the things that, just try something, right? When you're unsure of what to do, if you don't just try something, if you just stay stuck in that, I don't know, it's like being paralyzed by fear. A lot of the times, the only thing you can do to get out of that is to just do something. And maybe that means that you'll end up like me, taking a class that you don't need or working at a job that you don't like for a while. But sometimes you have to do that in order to know for sure that that's the wrong thing to do. Another reason that we don't take action is that we want to be comfortable. We have this comfort zone that we want to stay in, and we don't want to get out of that comfort zone, right? Kind of like when we were talking about being seen. I am comfortable not taking pictures of myself. So I don't want to take pictures of myself. I don't want to share pictures of myself. What if somebody says to me, oh my God, you're overweight. You look terrible. You should not be posting pictures of yourself. In fact, you're not an INFJ because INFJs are skinny. That actually happened to me, by the way. Somebody told me that. Several people have made those types of comments. And thankfully, I have the power to delete comments because I do. Nobody should have to see those type of comments. And by the way, you can still be an INFJ and be overweight. One has nothing to do with the other. But we have this comfort zone, right? We don't want to open ourselves up to embarrassment. We don't want to open ourselves up to ridicule. We don't want to do anything that's out of the norm. I'm comfortable being in my house. I don't want to go outside. I'm comfortable with the friends that I have. I don't want to make new friends. I'm comfortable doing what I've always done. Even though I don't necessarily like it, even though it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, even though I have this dream in my head of this whole different life that looks 100% different from what I do now, I don't want to take action because that would be uncomfortable. It would be uncomfortable to put myself out there. It would be uncomfortable if somebody said, wow, you shouldn't take pictures and share them. It would be uncomfortable if somebody said, you are such a fraud. So the best thing that I can do is to stay comfortable. That staying comfortable, that's one of the biggest reasons why INFJs never find their purpose in life. Because we want to be comfortable. All right, so before we get to the biggest reason, I want to share with you another free guide that I have that has a simple exercise that I used to nail down what my exact purpose is in life. I want to help you find your purpose in life, and I know that this exercise can help you because it helped me so much. This guide is completely free, and all you have to do is go to infjwoman.com/find-your-purpose. Again, the guide is completely free. Go to infjwoman.com/find-your-purpose to download it right now. And there's a link for it in the show notes. All right, so let's recap. The first reason that INFJs never find their purpose in life is because we overthink every single thing to death. The second reason is that we let fear hold us back. The third reason is that we don't take action. And the fourth reason, which is actually the biggest reason that most INFJs never find their purpose, is that we get stuck on this idea that there's one thing that we're supposed to do, that we just have one purpose. There's just this one perfect thing. It's going to be the reason that I'm alive, the thing that makes me happy, this way to help everybody else. It's going to be every single thing all in this one thing. And it's just like we have this idea that we're just going to stumble upon our purpose, and one day it'll be like Prince Charming coming to sweep us off of our feet. It's like some magical Disney fairy tale, right? That's the idea that we have in our heads. But the thing is, that's not reality. It doesn't happen like that. Some people who are super, super lucky people, they know their purpose from like the day that they're born. They have this thing that they want to do, and they know exactly how to get there. They have a clear path of these are the classes I'm taking in high school. This is what I'm majoring in college. This is how I'm going to help people. Other people who aren't so lucky, like me, were lost and confused for a long, long time. But here's the secret. You already have your purpose inside of you. It's already there. There's already a voice that's telling you this is what you're supposed to do. If you're listening to this, you'll know what it is. If you're not so good at listening to that voice, you maybe have this feeling, but you're probably still questioning whether that's the right thing. For me, I had that voice. When I was young, I loved to read. I still love to read, but I loved to read books. And every time I would get done, I would put the book down and be totally disappointed that it was done, that I was done reading it. And I would think to myself, wow, I wish I could write a book like that. I really want to write a book. I have a lot of journals too, where I started writing, and a lot of them are like 2 or 3 pages. I never really made it far beyond that. When I was in high school, I bought my first computer because I'm that old. We only had one computer in our house that was super old, didn't work very well. So I got my first credit card, and I remember I maxed it out like the first day that I got it because I bought a computer from Dell, which was like the thing to do back then. And I remember getting it in the mail and setting it up. And one of the first things that I downloaded was this program that would help you write a book, because I wanted to write a book back then, but I didn't know what to write about. I had no idea. And then I would get overwhelmed by fear because I don't know how to spell very well. I'm not great at sentence structure. And then there's that feeling of who am I to write a book? What do I have to share? I don't know anything about anything. Who would read a book that I write? Like, who am I to do that? So I let that hold me back. And I pushed down this idea of I need to write something because I'm not good at writing. And then, I go to school and there are multiple classes where you have to write. You have to take English composition a few times. I took a speech writing class. I took literature classes, all of these different things where you have to write. And I always got good grades in all of them. And then I went to work in marketing, and a lot of marketing is writing. You write blog posts, it's called copy, like you write all of the words that are on websites. You write social media posts all the time. So I had a lot of practice in writing, but I never connected that to, hey, that's practice in writing. Hey, I could actually be a good writer. I just kept pushing down this idea of I want to be a writer, thinking, no, that's not for me. No, that doesn't work. But every year I would want to start a blog. And I kind of went back and forth of, why do I feel this need to start a blog? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit with everything else that I think that I should do. Writing a blog doesn't fit with engineering. Writing a blog it kind of fits with marketing, but when you're talking about working for a marketing company that manages NASCAR race car drivers, and then when you go home, you want to write a blog about self-help. It doesn't really fit. But also back then, I really wasn't interested in self-help. Things like self-love and confidence were not on my radar. I knew that I didn't have enough confidence. I just didn't think that it was possible for me to have confidence. I just thought that some people had confidence and some people didn't have confidence. And those who didn't have it were just they were born unlucky. And I was like, oh, that must be me. I'm born unlucky. I'm unlucky with everything. But it's that attitude of saying I'm unlucky, I'm not good at anything. It's fear. And it keeps you in this negative place where you keep attracting negativity because you keep looking for more negativity. If you think I'm not good at anything, what you're going to look for is ways that you're not good at anything. But if you think, hey, I could be good at something, then you'll start looking for ways that you could be good at things. So a lot of people are a lot like me. We get stuck on this idea that there's one thing that we're supposed to do. And we shut out the voice in our head that's trying to tell us, hey, this is the thing that you're supposed to do. Maybe it's something that seems weird to us or doesn't seem to fit with this idea that we have in our head of what our life should be or what, we thought that we were going to do. Maybe your parents have been telling you that you should be a doctor or a lawyer for your whole life. And this voice in your head is telling you, no, you really should be writing about something. And you're like, no, I can't make a living being a writer. What are you talking about? You need to stop saying that. I can just be a lawyer. It's totally fine. I can figure it out. I can make this work. But the thing is that you're never really going to be happy in your life. You're never going to feel like you're actually fulfilling your purpose unless you start listening to that voice. Remember, you already know what the answer is. There's already this thing that's telling you this is what you need to do. And the thing is, you have to let go of the idea that there's this one thing that's this be all end all. And every single thing that you need in your life is going to be in this one purpose. When I was young, my parents told me that you have one job, right? You need to find a good job that has insurance, that will pay for your student loans and all of the bills that you have so that you can make enough money to do the things that you like to do. And so not only did I already have this idea that my purpose was some grand, big, huge thing, but I thought, okay, it has to be my job too, right? It has to all be rolled up into everything. I never considered the fact that I could make money from a job and start writing and be fulfilled with writing in a different way from making money at my job. I never thought that those two things could coexist together. I never thought that I could make money through a blog either. I knew that people made money writing books, but I never considered the fact that I would make money writing a book. A lot of the problem that we have is that we get stuck on these ideas, these stories that we've told ourselves for so long, that we don't consider any other possibilities. We get stuck on this grand, big idea, and we don't think about the little things. We never question that grand, big idea. We just get stuck on, I don't know what it is. I'm never going to find it. And we don't ever look for what it could possibly be. We don't look for little ways that we could be fulfilling our purpose. We don't look at how we're already fulfilling our purpose. Maybe there's already a way that you're helping people. That's one of the biggest things to your purpose, is to help people, especially for INFJs. We are the most ourselves when we're helping other people. So how are you helping people? I absolutely love coffee. And every single morning I go to the same Starbucks and order coffee. And the one that I go to is extremely busy. And especially the last couple of weeks, it's been really, really busy. Couple of days have been super hectic. Now, I usually order my coffee when I get in the car on my phone. So by the time I get to Starbucks, it's already done. And all I have to do is pick it up and leave. And most days in Starbucks, they have somebody, an employee there, who's handing people their drinks from mobile ordering. But every once in a while, you go in there and there's like 15 or 20 people standing there, customers. And they all look angry and they're like half awake because it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And you can tell they've been waiting there for a while. And especially if they're used to walking in and picking up their coffee, but now they have to wait. And you can tell that the people making the drinks are super frantic because, you know, there's 20 angry people waiting in there. And every 30 seconds, there's another person who comes in and there's like 3 drinks on the counter. And it's like, why is there such a backup? Like, what's going on? And so there was one of these days last week, and I was trying really hard not to be annoyed. I had just come through this burnout stage where I was super angry at everything. And so I was trying to just let go of the anger, even though I was tired and upset that, you know, I had to wait. I'm just standing there kind of looking at other people without trying to be intrusive, but they all looked angry. And we were all looking at the people making the drinks, right? And they're behind the counter frantically trying to make drinks. And you can tell that they're stressed. And, you know, they're feeling the pressure of all of these people being in there, staring at them while they're trying to do their job. Thankfully, I wasn't in there for too long, 10 or 15 minutes maybe, which, you know, when it's usually 10 or 15 seconds, 10 minutes is kind of a long time. But I went back a couple of days later and it was super calm. There was nobody in there, tons of drinks on the counter, but nobody in there. And the lady that works there, she was behind the counter on the day when everybody was stressed. And this day that I was in there, she was handing people their drinks. And so I told her, I just took a second and I said, I just wanted to tell you that you do such a great job Like there's so many days where it's super crazy in here. I know this place is incredibly busy just from being in the parking lot. It's like playing a video game trying to get out of the parking lot because there's so many obstacles. But I told her, I was here last week when it was super crazy that day, and I could tell that you were super stressed, but you did such a great job. And I really appreciate everything that you do. I know it's just a simple thing, making people coffee in the morning, but it makes a huge difference. And she was so thankful that I had just taken a second to say something nice. She was so excited. She said, I'm going to cry. She's like, nobody says stuff like that. People are just like, where's my coffee? When I went back and saw her this morning, she was super excited to see me. She already knew my name because the people at the Starbucks that I go to, they make this huge effort to know your name. And so they hand you your coffee without you having to say, hey, I'm Sarah. I have a grande mocha with peppermint. They're like, oh, hey, Sarah, here's your coffee, which is super cool, I think. I know it's a big thing that Starbucks does, but it's super cool. So when I saw her today, she's like, hey, Sarah, how's it going? She was just like super excited to see me because I had taken the time to say something nice to her. And it was such a little thing, right? It's something that I, in the past, would never have even thought about doing. I would be too scared to say something like that to somebody. Even though it's a nice thing, it's a nice compliment. I would have been scared just to talk to people. But just that little thing, that little effort that I made to say something nice to her, it made her day. She said that it made her month. She said nobody ever says nice things like that to her. And I think about how many times that I've spent in jobs like that. I worked at Walmart for 4 years. I don't remember anybody ever coming in and saying, hey, thanks for doing your job really well. No, people would come in and yell at us. I worked at places like Bath and Body Works and Old Navy, and very few people ever came in and said hi and said thank you and said, hey, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. But you can really make people's day when you just say something nice, when you're just there to be helpful in some way that they're not used to. So how do you really find your purpose? How do you get past all of these reasons why INFJs don't find their purpose? And how do you figure out what is your real and true purpose in life? Here's the best thing that I can tell you. Take action. Do something. Do anything, really. There's already a voice inside of you that's telling you that you have something to share with the world. The best thing that you can do is to help people. There is some way that you can help people. That's the reason that you were put on this earth. There's something that you've gone through in your life, some type of really big emotional pain that you've made it through. You've got to the other side of it. And there are people who need to know how to get through the other side of it. They're struggling with the same thing right now. And if you could just show up and help them, if you could just show up and share your story and say, hey, this is what I went through, and this is how I got to the other side of it, it could be a massive thing. I talk about depression and anxiety a lot because I have both of those things, and they're a big part of my life. And I want to be a part of normalizing them. And I also want to be a part of telling people that there's hope, that you can get past it, that there's a better thing that's coming for you. There are better days ahead. There are happy days ahead for you. When I was in the middle of that, when I was first diagnosed with depression and anxiety, I felt all of the stigma around it. I didn't want to tell people that I had it. I was so embarrassed. Like, why would I have something like this? I was told not to tell people that I had it, though. I was told that it was embarrassing, that it was shameful, that I shouldn't be talking about it. But then I had some other friends, who talked about it like it was normal, who talked about going to counseling like it was just a part of their life, who said that they thought that everybody should be in counseling. And if it helps you, why should you be ashamed of it? So once I started to question all of the shame and the embarrassment around this illness that I have, it opened up this whole different world for me. Why would you be embarrassed of being ill? Like, if you had cancer, would you be embarrassed of that? No, you wouldn't be embarrassed of that. You would probably tell your friends. You would probably, I mean, depending on what type of cancer that you have, you would have to tell your employer, right? Because you might need time off. You might need special accommodations at work. And those people, they all rally around you because having cancer is a terrible thing. And they know that you need emotional support. Maybe you need financial support, and everybody shows up for you, right? But it's a different thing when you have depression or anxiety, because those are mental illnesses. And in the world that we live in now, there's a lot of shame that comes with that. You don't tell your friends, you don't tell your employers, because you could potentially get fired. Even though it's illegal to fire people for that, you could get fired. If you can be a part of breaking that cycle, though, if you can be a part of telling somebody who's in that situation, hey, it's okay. I have depression too. And you can still be a highly functional person and have depression. In fact, there are a lot of ways that you can get better if you have depression. Wouldn't that be an awesome thing to do? Isn't it worth putting yourself out there? Isn't it worth getting through the fear just to be able to help somebody? So how can you help people? Well, there are a lot of ways now. A lot of ways that most people don't think of as traditional jobs, and that most people, when you're thinking about finding a job or finding your purpose, you think about like insurance and being a lawyer, being a doctor, maybe working in marketing. You think about being an accountant, all of these types of traditional careers, right? But what if your purpose is to be a writer? What if your purpose is just to inspire people to be better? Maybe you can write a blog. If you want to be a writer, you can do that for free now. You can share your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions with people, and it doesn't cost you anything. You could write a book. A lot of people think that writing a book is this massive, big thing. And I mean, you can make it that, or you can make it something that's simple and easy. You can make videos. You can get past your fear of being seen, get past your fear of being not good at making videos, and make videos. I mean, how many people do you know that don't have a phone that has the capability to make videos? My phone will make better videos than my computer does. It takes forever to upload those videos onto my computer, but the videos turn out amazing. If you have a phone, you have the ability to start helping people just by making videos, just by writing a blog. Maybe you want to start something a little bit simpler than that. You could start an account on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. And you could start the same way that I started my account. I didn't share pictures of myself probably for almost the first year that I had the account. I didn't share videos. All I shared was posts about INFJs. Maybe you want to tell people about your personality type. Maybe you want to tell them about being an introvert or about being highly sensitive. Maybe you just want to help people find self-love or help people believe in themselves. It's completely free to start an Instagram account, and you can have multiple Instagram accounts. So really all you have to do is come up with a name. And you don't have to share a picture of yourself in the profile picture either. I had my logo, which I made for free, in the profile picture for more than a year, I think. Another way that you can find your purpose is to volunteer somewhere. Maybe you don't have the capacity to change jobs or the money to change jobs right now, and you're still not sure what your purpose is. You could volunteer. You could do all different types of volunteer work, but maybe that volunteer work will be your purpose. Maybe it will lead you to your purpose. Maybe that volunteer work is just the part of helping people that you need to do. The main thing that you can do in finding your purpose is to take action. Do something that helps someone, even if it's just one person. When I started my blog and my Instagram account, that was my goal. I thought, you know what? I am so thankful to know my personality type. It's changed my life so much that if I can just help one person, that's all that matters. If I do all of this work, if I post 5 times a day, if I write 1,000 words every single week, if it just helps one person, then that's all that matters, because that's what I want to do. Okay, so I have a couple of additional resources that I wanted to tell you about so that you can get really, really clear on what your purpose in life is, and also how to stop overthinking and start taking action right away. There are 2 different workshops. The first one is called How to Find Your Purpose in Life as an INFJ. You can find it at infjwoman.com/workwithme. Another workshop that's called How to Go from Overthinking to Doing. And you can also find it at infjwoman.com/workwithme. Both of these workshops, they're only $27 a piece, and you get instant access to the workshop and a workbook, and you'll have access to them forever. They will tell you exactly, the first one will tell you how to find your purpose, the exact method that I used that's helped so many people. And the second one about overthinking will help you get past that knee-tee loop that we talked about and help you start taking action today. A lot of times we need that accountability. We need some skin in the game. That's why I charge for these workshops, because you find more value in them. You'll actually do them if you have some skin in the game. So make sure that you go check them out. Again, you can find them at infjwoman.com/workwithme. And there's a link for it in the show notes. All right, that's all that we have today. Thank you so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Also, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't. It helps other people to be able to find us, and also leave a review. I would love to hear what you think about the show, and that also helps other people find us. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you again next week. So you just watched that video, and I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you want some more amazing information about INFJs, check out these videos right now. I'll see you there.